Well, hello again. We are going to tackle a subject of classical approach to drawing comics, illustrations, and doing even hand lettering. Most of you are familiar with typing on computer. Guess what? There are varieties of fonts that imitate, the handwriting like used in comics. Would you believe it? In the old days, when the whole industry started, they discovered, because they wanted everything produced as cheaply as possible, they discovered that using a newsprint, is quite expensive to put into balloons, so they went to plan B and hired people with nice handwritings. Sometimes it was illustrators or comic artists themselves, and in most cases it was the specialized people who worked for many. Sometimes in studio and sometimes traveling all over the city to offer their services to various cartoonists. Now, this is a sketch that I treated as a rough, and it is supposed to be used on a cover of a comic that I didn't show the working process, but the cover is here. So this is the upper part for the title and avatar that is going to come here. This is the scene of the comic. We are not going to pay too much attention to it. Let's wait for the right time. Now, this is going to be an avatar. And this is the rough sketch that has to be inked. And inked it shall be on this piece of paper where it was transferred via a light table or light box. It makes this thicker paper transparent, so the sketch is underneath and you get the effect of transparency with a strong light underneath, so very quickly the whole picture is copied, amended if need be, and that's it. So since we have two dialogues, or rather monologues, whoopsie daisy, sorry folks, I'm spilling out again. So we are going to prepare for lettering this piece of art, which will have this ruler here, and to put the parallel lines, believe it or not, I'm not going to use this ruler to put it here and line there. I'm going to use the lettering guide that recently I shared the look of with you. They call it in the so-called industry Amos lettering guide, but it is actually known, this one, as Linux or Linux. I'm going to use the same hard pencil for drawing these parallel lines, and I assume I'm doing this really offhand without any precise measuring. So this is it. I'm going to start rolling the lines. And I made mistake. I made a boo-boo immediately. So I'm going to keep it instead of editing out. I don't want to appear as perfectionist. So let's try once again. Now is much better. I made a boo-boo again. You see, that's why computers are so important. They actually prevent you to make mistakes. You just type away and it's all done. Everybody's happy and we go further on. Okay, for the last time I'm going to do this. In case I make mistake, I'm going to stop and bid you good night. Seriously, I'm serious. So this is not here, it is here, like this, like this, like this, like this. And I need one line more. So I'm going to lower the ruler like this. Let me just nail the line properly. Okay, so we have this. And basically that's it. So I'm going to put the lettering in there. And being responsible and all that, I'm going to first pencil in her monologue. I have various templates. In this case, I used a circular template instead of oval, you know, ellipsoid, like we're used to in comics. But I find these circular ones quite sexy. So she says here, oopsie daisy. Sorry folks, I'm going to put it like oopsie. See how I'm writing lowercase a instead of proper A, like this or even like this. I have seen it with one cartoonist called Frank Cho, and I found quite sexy this using of lowercase a, of all letters lowercase a, because he influences me in a lot of ways, especially drawing beautiful women. I hope this lady is gorgeous and stunning, and suffice to say, without copying, I'm inspired by Mr. Frank Cho. So, oopsie daisy. Exclamation mark. Sorry, folks, she says. The first balloon is done. Here she says I'm spilling out again. So let's do it. Do I have suddenly a much larger distance? Yes, we do. I'm spilling out, she says, here. Again. Huh. You see? Here, when I initially lettered this scene, I used ordinary uppercase A because all comics were lettered, and that is tradition in uppercase. For some reason, probably thinking that children starting to learn how to read are going to be main readers, they never ever expected adults to take over as readership. And she does here this girly tee. I'm going to write it smaller. And my penciling for letters is done. So, inking now. Just a little break. You can see this whilst I bring my brushes from the bathroom where they are gone for a bath, believe it or not. Yes, I wash my brushes regularly, so they last for me. I also need my trusty jar. Here it is, which needs to be filled with water, and the brush rinser. You hang brush handles here in this spring kind of device, so you soak in the brushes and hopefully avoid what I have just done. I spilled water over the drawing. Horrible. Can you imagine what would happen if I spilled water over the very drawing I need to ink now? Well, it wouldn't be destroyed, of course, but it would be seriously deformed, so to speak. Okay, so let's leave this beauty to dry, and I'm going to use my brushes. This is addition, you know, addition from marker that has died, and instead of throwing it in a bin, I put the insides, everything that was inside marker, and I've put the brush inside because it is much easier to handle. Nothing wrong with brush as it is, but sometimes when you work long hours, it becomes less than comfortable. So it is a tradition. People used sellotape, masking tape, whatever, to wrap their brushes with, and this is much more neat, I assume. So, without any further ado, let's commit to inking. I'm using the piece of cardboard under my hand to prevent moisture from my palm and sweat, palm grease, you name it, to damage the surface. This is the ink bottle I'm using. You never ever dip the whole brush, just enough so it is well soaked with ink. I apologize to those who already know and have experience with the drawing, and I am using this tissue to run brush like this in a rotating manner and form a nice tip. Okay, so now we are ready to begin. As you can see, I'm doing these strokes away from me instead of pulling them down. For some reason, I don't know why, but I was told by an experienced inker that a brush works the best when inking is done this way instead of pulling the strokes, because you control the line much better. And it's true. Let's try one down stroke. Not bad, but still I felt my hand shaking, and we don't want it. Let's sort out her mouth. Okay, these thin lines are quite challenging. Maybe I'm going to white them out later. It is important not to be slave to certain stupid rules like, oh, drawing mustn't be rotated, oh, it has to be fixed. And there were some artists, believe it or not, who used to tape the drawing down and get in all sorts of uncomfortable positions just, you know, to do drawing. But frankly, I think it is quite okay and no problem whatsoever to play around with your drawing surface and just do what needs to be done. They say when you draw with a nib, the inking pen, you are supposed to draw slowly. With brush, these strokes are better if done in a slightly quicker manner. Not too fast, so we become untidy, sloppy, and so on. I need to tell you something. Every brush that does the job that suits your needs is good. But you need to experiment and find the right one. Although I'm not paid to peddle no product whatsoever, I heard and later got confirmation that Winsor Newton brushes, Series 7, number 2 or 3, I see that the text is not visible here. Let me put on another light. Maybe it's going to make this better. Anyways, this is supposed to be the brush of brushes. There are other brands. Give them a try. And who knows, maybe you will find yours. I tried many. Rembrandt, Da Vinci, Talents, this and that. And quite frankly, I haven't found a better brush than Winsor Newton. Oh, I made a mistake. My elbow has slipped. So, you see, a very nasty mistake. Now this is getting worse and worse. White out. So while it dries, let's work on something else. Actually, I'm happy that this happened, so instead of talking to you about mistakes now, you have seen a genuine one being made. Who knows, maybe more will happen. Perish the thought. I constantly have to slow myself down because I don't want to get carried away, you know, and suddenly I draw and you don't see what I'm doing because I have moved the drawing away from the camera field. There is no mistake or error in doing what I've just done. Repeating the strokes, stopping, continuing, it is also one of the stupid things that people used to say. Oh, you must begin the stroke no matter how long it is and don't stop until it's finished. Oh, brother. And I made another mistake. Instead of going this way, I went into the shirt. Well, things like this happen. What can be done? trusty whiteout. When you work in computer, you don't need no whiteout, no nothing. You just press Control Z, Control Z for Americans, or you use eraser, which is one of the tools, and voila, there you go. The lines I'm making now are thicker because they are at the bottom, and on the top the lines are supposed to be thinner. And this is, I have to say, quite a sloppy job that I'm doing. I am more than unhappy with what is happening here. Apologies for that. I have to tell you that line work is fine. Sexy, thick, thin, thick, or thin, thick, thin lines are really good. But more important is, to tell you frankly, the shape. The shape line is defining, or lines are defining. I'm far from happy with this, but for better or worse, this is it. Now we have a nice curve of the hoo-hoo we are going to execute now. Not bad, but I wanted it thinner, and that's one of the things that brush can be quite dodgy for. No matter the quality of the tool, sometimes it just doesn't obey you the right way, and you simply don't have the thickness that you desire. Okay. If I want to ink the whole drawing and make a video of it, this is going to be a long, long night and a long, long video, and we don't want it. Trust me, we don't. Therefore, I'm not going to stop immediately, of course, but I think that I will need to call it a day sometime soon, so let me finish the most I can. You know, this is not rubbish. but to tell you frankly, it is far from what I wanted and expected myself to deliver during this broadcast. Even artists that use pen as the main tool, you know, they always admit that hair needs to be dealt with a brush. It's not just covering the pencil lines, mind you. It is, how would I say, conveying the texture, you know? And that texture is different for cloth, different for hair, for stones, for you name it. Let's deal with this very hand. I'm missing some of the lines, you see. I didn't do it on purpose. It happened. But as long as you don't make a cardinal mistake and go too much away or something, well, no big deal. If you are not destroying the character or changing the appearance, if it works, let it go. Okay. The chin definition, part of the cheek, and of course the side of her face. And this is fairly okay. Fairly okay. Although I'm not finishing my work, I'm taking this jar to wash the brush, to rinse it. Not because I need it clean, no. I just want the excess ink away so it doesn't clog my inking tool. You see, it is far from clean. This grayish, muddy water leaves the trace here, but the brush is now refreshed. Rotating manner, we point the brush and ready to continue. This part of the boobage, I needed the line to go inside, and right now I wonder, should I white this out and do it as I wanted or leave it? But for the sake of responsibility, I'm going to white it out, because it is important not to get a habit of, it's alright, let it go. No. If this is the result of something that you didn't want, well, do the correction. In some cases, there are so-called happy incidents, and you are privileged to say, I like it, I want to keep it. But since sometimes it just is not what you want, be fair. It's not just a matter of, what would the readers say? The audience. No, you must be responsible to yourself, first and foremost. And because of that, be careful, don't get sloppy. Now this is more like it. You see what I have done? In some cases, let me demonstrate it here. It is no big deal if you do this. You mark the area that you just fill in, like in those booklets from our childhood, paint by numbers. No big deal. But sometimes it looks much better if you try, risking mistakes of course, to do it in 1-2 strokes like I did for this shadow. No big differences, but yet somehow it feels better. Oh, why did I use colored pencil for this checkered appearance of this pattern on her shirt? If you asked, glad that you asked, because I didn't use graphite pencil for everything, because I wanted this to be treated with different ink. And this is almost mistake, but I will leave it because it doesn't damage the overall impact. Okay. This is a mess. And I think I will have to consult my sketch as soon as it is dry, and it is still drying. I spilled a lot of water. I did this really interesting pattern of shadows in her hair. the story I told you just before a minute or so ago. You can do it like this and then fill it in. No big deal. But to do a single stroke, which I didn't manage now, I chickened out, I have to admit, is more spontaneous, adventurous, and it has its value. Like these very strokes I'm making now. So this is nice. Let's sort this a long one out like this. Then we have this one like this. And my brush is almost empty. I'm running on empty. A rotating manner of forming a tip. And we are back to hair raising. Doesn't look bad. Told you so. There is one advantage, you know, of brush over nib. Namely, the waterproof India ink lines are drying faster, you know. It doesn't matter to people who prefer to ink with markers and those fiber pens or pen sticks, however they call them. Mr. Frank Cho is using Pigma markers, he says, and those markers are with archive ink, which means those ink lines won't get dodgy and pale out later with age. You know, the problem with the marker lines is always those inked strokes just turn light brown, yellow, and they eventually vanish. Or some types of ink just go blue, depending on which chemicals they are using. And the thing that I mentioned, archive ink, the very name already suggests that it is made to last, you know, in archives. So I assume nothing lasts forever, you know, but ink lines need to be more permanent. And some of you might ask, and what about computer and computer lines? Well, as long as there is electricity and civilization, computer art is safe. As soon as all these things happening right now and the threat of WW3 happening any minute from now, well, bye-bye computers, bye-bye video games, and everything else. Okay. By the same token, I'm going to wrap up her bun. I have to tell you, this has nothing to do with the quality of brush. nothing to do with paper, which is amazing. I love this paper with a little bit rougher surface, like made for brush inking, you know. Somehow my hand is not doing what I want to do, and it makes me quite annoyed, but I won't bother you with this nagging. I'm going to finish the hair, and maybe, just maybe, her eyes, and that would be it, because frankly it is 5 minutes past 3 a.m. and even I should be in bed, you know, resting so I can, guess what, continue drawing tomorrow. Yeah, there are people who make a lot of money doing this job. There are stories about some famous cartoonists, and when they were interviewed, they were asked, "Oh, why do you do comics instead of something else?" And the guy would say, "Because of money." Well, most of us are not paid neither handsomely nor well. I know another famous cartoonist who said, if you want money, get out of comics. Open a deli, open a butcher shop, bakery, but get out of this business. Well, this is being done by people who love it and who can't imagine doing anything else. Same with me. Therefore, I strongly recommend to you, and I'm really sincere here, get out of this. This awful profession is going to break your heart. Seriously. But if you are stubborn, as I am, if you really know in the heart of your hearts that you can't do anything else, then put up, shut up, and do it. No money? Well, your fault. You could have gone into bakery or whatever. In all the instances, it is always earning enough, getting what you have earned, not necessarily what you deserve. Do you know what you deserve? Can you tell yourself, potential client, anyone, what is your value? How much is your artwork worthy? This thing that I'm working on, is it worth $50 or 20? Or is it worth 400? Sometimes even the small, humble sketch, much smaller than this, can be worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars, euros, pounds. And in some cases, big, humongous drawing can't be charged. In many cases, it is up to the celebrity status of an artist. Is he or she known, respected? Does the art have any value on the market? Like these blank canvases that we read about by who knows who, that go for millions of dollars. Can you believe it? I mean, I'm not outraged. If there is a market, if there are people willing to shell out several $1 million on something that is just a, you know, a blank, well, good for them. Oh, by the way, look at this dirt. It is from my drawing board surface. Mind you, I use soap, sponge, wet wipes, you name it. I use them to clean my drawing surface every other day, sometimes every day. And no matter how diligently I clean the surface of my drawing board, it's always dirty, and the back of my art is disgusting, like a used toilet paper. Horror. I need to make this thicker a little bit. In some cases, you know, even part of a millimeter matters. Too much, bang, it destroys the impact and the art looks like doo-doo. The eyes I would usually delineate with a very thin pen or marker, you know, but I feel adventurous now, so I'm going to ink it with brush like this. Huh. What do you know? I did a video, it's on Facebook. I am Baseman Boyan Art. I did half-jokingly a master class on washing brushes. If you don't baby your brushes, and mind you, they are very expensive, well, they are going to just go heavy metal and lose the point. So it is very important to always be very disciplined with cleaning your brushes, you know. These very thin lines I'm adding inside her hair, you see, they are softening this stark difference between light and dark areas. I could have left it as it is, like here on the side, you know, but this way it looks, I don't know, I think it looks better. People who are rich artists, or just no artists but rich by default, they can afford to buy frequently brushes. Of course, non-artist types will throw money on something else. But if I was rich, I think I would still slavishly wash my brushes and treat them with respect, you know. I think this looks much better now, more credible. Let's do something about this. Okay, I want to rest from the hairy business. And I'm going to concentrate on this hand here. I mean hand, the whole arm. And the tip of her thumb. That's it. Let me just do this finger. Do we see it properly? All right. And this finger. The index finger here. You know, some artists sometimes leave uninked tips, like here. But some people can get away with that. Not me. I'll leave it. I want to be like those great artists who carelessly leave it like this, and the whole world goes, oh, look at them, how spontaneous they are. Oh, this is so... whatever. After 3 a.m., you know, I just lose my vocabulary. And here, that's it. And now, let me treat with different ink, as I promised, this shirt. I'm going to use so-called sepia ink, which is, as the name says, on a brownish side rather than this black ink. Oh, because this brush is going to rest, let me show you this rinser thingamajig. This sieve-like device inside helps me to rinse more thoroughly my brush, like in the bathroom when I use soap and rotating all the time my brush. I wash it several times with a mild soap and cold water, like this. pushing away all the excess ink that went under the ferrule, this metallic pipe that holds the hair and connects to the wooden handle. So the handle is here. I push the brush and the tip is inside water, so it rests there. The further time is spent, you know, with ink going down into the water, and after that washing is applied. But I don't want to waste time tidily washing away whilst I'm working. That's why I'm just temporarily doing this rinsing. So I showed you my black ink, and now voila, that's sepia ink, brownish. Is it too impolite if I say thirdish color? Anyways, here it is. Another brush. There it is. It is the same brand of brush, Winsor Newton Series 7. Same number 2, only with the addition of this extra handle. The same procedure for forming the tip. And now let's make this sepia or sepia. Do you say sepia in English or sepia? Whatever. There you go. I'm not sure if I really needed this. I could have done it with black ink, as almost everyone would do. But me not being everyone, I decided to play around with sepia and add some extra pizzazz, almost the coloring or the color feel to otherwise black and white drawing. This is relatively new stuff for me, you know, this sepia thing, and maybe I'm going a little bit over the top with this addition. Maybe I'm not. I'm lucky that comics I'm currently drawing, you know, they are not to be printed. Oh, sepia doesn't go well over the whiteout. Alert, alert, alert. Okay, since this is going to be scanned, I'll sort it out in Photoshop or something. But since, as I said, I'm not being printed, neither in color nor black and white, I'm using the opportunity for online presentation of comics I'm doing with Mr. James Lee and his MFMG Comics group. Look them up. MFM, what do you, MFMG Comics, yeah. Look them up on Facebook, find their site and see their fine products. I'm not saying that just because I draw for Mr. Lee. By the way, his nom de plume is Steeleblazer. Several absolutely extraordinary artists draw for Mr. Lee. So, give it a chance, become subscriber, and enjoy his comics. I mean, support small publishers. It's easy to be friend of a big league team, you know. Those little schmoes, sometimes called, you know, they are the ones that deserve our attention and devotion. They need all the help and support that can be given to them. It's easy to love Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse. They are great, I love them. Or European publishers like Delcourt, Soleil, Dupuis, Dargaud. Why don't you go for small publishers? They are really the place where things are happening. So give small guys a chance. And this, and this. That's it. Hey guys, I said that I'm going to stop drawing, that I'm not going to do the whole thingamajig. But look, I'm almost approaching the end. Yeah, go me. I'm adding this just to sort out the mess I made. So we add these cross sections here. Let's add one here like this. Let's add this one here. And folks, we're done. So only my fancy signature and lettering. What time is it? It is exactly 3:30 a.m. and we are 1 hour 10 minutes and 3 seconds into this inking doodah. So I'm now rinsing as the previous brush this one, and I'm going to soak it in so it sleeps a little bit in water with fishes. Anyways, this is almost dry. Ah, I have some nibs here. Hey, A lot of artists try to persuade younger ones not to use markers, you know. Oh no, don't use the markers, they are incapable of giving a line variety and this and that. Well, drawing started with writing equipment, and in the old days writing equipment was pen, you know, nib. Not always metallic one, mind you, it was made from bird feather, but later on they started to do metallic ones, and then, well, nowadays they are making pocket brushes that you don't need to soak into ink. They have invented magical things. I use them, to tell you frankly, but tonight really I felt nostalgic, and I really wanted to use brush and nib. Oh, by the way, this what I've written is stylized Cyrillic B, or B as we call it in Serbian. And in Serbia we write in Cyrillic and Latin. Our language functions in Latin too, but I thought this is a nice touch, you know, having this. Now I need to find a nib that I'm going to use for lettering. I have just rinsed in the same jar where I rinse my brushes the pen. If I don't do it, it is going to be all crusty and covered with dried ink, and it would be good just for throwing into rubbish. Okay. A jar with tons of this and that. So what can I take for lettering? Okay. This looks nice. Maybe it's awful, I don't know. We are going to try it. Now this looks nice. And what else can I say for thicker letters? I could use those speedball pens, and guess what? I don't have a single one. Who knows, one day maybe I will do a master class on pens, like I did master class on washing the brushes. Do you like when I accentuate and do this affectation with brush instead of brush? Well, nobody's perfect. So let's try with this pen. Looks okay. Penciling the letters inside balloons is not done for any other purpose, but you know, just to kern the letters. K-E-R-N. Kerning letters is important because if you start with inking immediately, I mean writing, lettering with pen and ink immediately, suddenly you realize, oh, the placement is wrong, it should be moved about 4 millimeters to the left or whatever. Guess what? It's done. So penciling the lettering is for the sake of kerning So it is all done with nice distribution and composition of the word placement. I forgot if Tihi is done with hyphen or hyphenless. Well, for better or worse, I hyphenated it, and we now have Tihi this way. I hope this other pen I have on the side is thicker for these bold letters. I think I'm going to abandon this lowercase a thing. It works nicely with Mr. Frank Cho, but not with me. I didn't stop liking it, mind you. Just suddenly, under the camera, talking to you, I just realized, well, it's not me. I know everybody else is doing it, but not lowercase, the proper uppercase lettering, but, well, maybe I should do something different. So let's finish this, spilling out these two words. Yes. Without giving too much importance to what I'm doing for you right now, I'm actually glad that we have managed to simulate almost a comic book or comic strip panel work in progress, inking and lettering side, mind you, because I didn't draw under the camera in pencil. I have done a lot of penciling on other stuff, and it is on YouTube and on Facebook. This O is dodgy, so I will sort it out maybe when lettering is dry. And now, oopsie daisy, sorry folks, phrase. I need more ink. I started my less than stellar career in comics as a letter translator and letter, you know. And I need to admit, I really enjoyed doing this. Seriously. Today, this job is done by typists, you know. It's all typed. First, you choose a good font or you create one. But what really annoys me and saddens me, word balloons and captions with comment and stuff like that. They are no more integral part of comic strip or comic book graphism. There was a period when suddenly they stopped even pasting on the artwork balloons. They started to do them on celluloid overlays, you know? And with the advancement of computers, they started to superimpose in Illustrator or Photoshop or whatever the lettering, and that's it. All those people with steady hands, steadier than mine, they lost their jobs, and comics lost a certain charm of having lettering as integral part of the artwork. I also read somewhere, you know, that original art collectors actually dislike comic pages with lettering. They prefer those nude pages, which is ridiculous, but you know, they pay the money. There is one thing that I still wonder, should I do it? The shadow under her chin, the shadow on her neck. I think, considering that the light source is from here, it's coming from her left, our right hand side, there should be at least something underneath. You see how I have suggested with the glint in her eyes where the light is coming from? Those aspects, sorry, are important because that tells us where the light comes from and how our drawing should be treated to get solidity, spotting blacks, etc. And now this is the pocket brush, and I'm going to use it now because instead of soaking in the classic proper brush, I will do this little shading under her chin, just like that. And to avoid just like that improvisation, at least a little bit, I'm going to sketch like this shadow forming under her chin. Is the line visible? Almost. So, no dipping, instant inking. 1, 2, 3. Oops. See? The cartridge with ink inside is almost empty, but thanks to the rough surface of this paper, we have a dry brush effect with this grainy structure of inked line, and it looks really nice, provided that I white out this excess part that really doesn't belong here. It is about 2 millimeters. Whoops, we have 1 millimeter here. Let's Get rid of it. That's it. And this here, that's it. Marvelous. All corrections are done, and believe it or not, we are done. Finished. Thank you for your attention. Hopefully you will be back for some further escapades at the drawing board. And until then, stay good, be well, be happy, and never ever allow anyone make you feel afraid. Boyan signing out. Nope, not signing out before I add another shading doodah here. That's it. And now it makes sense. Thank you. Boyan signing off.